The very first thing we're going to do, this is known as engagement training. There's a couple things that we're going to be focusing on in this step. Number one, teaching her that there are certain sounds that mean she's going to get a reward. You've probably seen this before, people using a clicker.
Yes.
Often people really don't know what the clicker is and how it works. People just click randomly and they don't fully understand it. So what we do, and the reason why clickers were so successful is number one, and this is important to keep in mind if you want to use your voice. I like to use my voice instead of always having a clicker.
Right.
But a clicker always sounds the same. Okay. It doesn't click one day and then clickety-click the next day. Right. It's always very consistent. Okay. So we want to make sure if we're using our voice that our voice is very consistent. Because a dog doesn't hear or see the word yes like we do. Like you hear yes and you can... Okay, yes is the same as yes, or yes, like you know that's yes.
Yes.
But to a dog, they hear a sound. So we want to make sure the sound is as consistent as possible. Okay. We're going to use two different noises that predict a reward. These are known as condition reinforcers. Okay. This helps us when we're pinpointing a moment in time when your dog is correct. Okay. So it's known as a marker, also known as a condition reinforcer. People also call it a bridge, but we're all talking about the same thing. It's just a sound that lets the dog know they're going to receive a reward. Okay. And we make the sound to pinpoint a moment in time when your dog is right. So for example, if you want her to know that sitting down is a behavior you would like her to repeat, the moment her butt hits the ground, yes, that's when you say the marker, because you're marking the behavior of sitting. So almost think of it as taking a photo and putting that photo inside your dog's mind. Right, okay. So the moment she sits, moment she lays down, and we're taking photos, and she's having those photos where it's now a memory, and that's a behavior she wants to repeat. Okay. So during this step, we want to pay her for looking at us. This is why it's known as engagement training. The more engagement we can get from our dogs, the faster they learn. Now, do you have a certain word that you would like to use as the marker? Now, if you want, we can use the clicker.
No, I mean, is there a recommendation? Like, I usually just call her name.
That would be her name, which is different from a marker.
Okay.
So by definition, in order for a marker to be a marker, it has to predict one of the 4 quadrants of operant conditioning. That's your positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, positive punishment, negative punishment. Okay. So if you have a sound that predicts one of those, by definition, it's a marker. Okay. So her name is her name. It's more like a informal come when called or a pay attention to me. Okay. So if you say her name Luna, what do you want her to do? You want her to pay attention to you, or you want her to come into your area. Yeah. So that's more like an informal pay attention to me sort of command, where a marker is letting her know that's the correct behavior. I'm going to pay you for that, and that's something you want to repeat in the future. Okay. So I use yes and I use free when I train dogs. Okay. So when I tell a dog yes, what I'm saying is that's correct and I'm going to give you a reward. Okay. Yes just means a reward. That's it. So if I go, yes, then I have to give her a piece of food. Okay. That's what yes means. Right. Anytime you say it, you have to pay her. Okay. Unless she does something that makes you say no or something like that. For example, when I first started teaching a stay, I use wrong as a marker for leash pressure, which we're going to go over. Okay. So if she breaks the stay, I say wrong, and I place her back in the stay position. So she learns to maintain that position. So if she's in a stay and I say yes, and I go to reward her and she breaks that position, I'm not going to give her the reward. Okay. But in any other situation, for the most part, if you say yes, it's like a paycheck. You got to pay her. Okay. Because the yes is only valuable because it predicts a reward. Oh, awesome. If we start saying yes and we don't reward her, then it loses its value. Okay. And then the other word that I use, which is free to the dogs that I train, that means you did the behavior correctly, you're going to receive a reward, but you're also released. So free is reward plus release, whereas yes is just reward. Okay. So if she's in a stay and you say yes, she has to maintain the stay. If she's not in a stay and you say yes, she remains free from the stay. If she's in a stay and you say free, she's released, but she's also going to receive a reward. And if she's not in a stay and you say free, well, she's already released, so you just have to give her the reward. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
All right, so the way that we do that, this was scientifically proven by Ivan Pavlov, the dinner bell theory, classical conditioning. What he did was he had a certain sound that would go off prior to the dogs in his study being given food. And if the sound always preceded the delivery of the reward, after enough repetitions, when the dogs heard the sound, they would begin to salivate before anything was present. And that's what he called classical conditioning. Now, he did further studies. If the sound went off while the food was being delivered, yes. Or if the sound went off while the dog was eating, they never became classically conditioned to the sound. The sound has to precede by about a half second or so.
Okay.
So in order to get her conditioned, it has to be predictable. Okay. So I'm going to get her attention, then I'm going to say, yes. Then I go to reward. Notice the pause. Okay. So I didn't do this.
Right.
This is a common mistake. I'm going to show you. People do this all the time. Yes. And then they reward. Did you notice the difference there?
Yes.
Notice how I bent down, I said
right.
yes, I did. I stand up nice and straight. I make sure the dog's sitting and not jumping or looking at me, but just not jumping because I don't want to reward that.
Right.
Then I say the marker, free. Then I move back. That gives her time to process what I just said so she can learn the pattern. Oh, when you say yes, you give me food. When you say free, you move away and I come and get the food. That's how it teaches her release and reward in comparison to the continuation marker, just reward. Okay. So when she's done eating it, and I hold my hands by my face in the beginning so the dog gets used to looking at my face. Because notice, watch her face when I start to move my hands. What is she doing? She's following my hands. I want her to get used to looking in the direction of my face. Yes. Notice the pause. Then I deliver the food. Also, I want her to learn where the food is in my hand. So notice sometimes I'll hold it at my fingertips, but most of the time I hold it with my thumb.
Okay.
So that way when I say yes and I go to reward her, it's very easy for her to stick her muzzle in that little valley in order to get access to the reward, which makes it much easier when we start luring her into different positions.
Okay.
Free. And then I move back. And this would be a session of engagement training.
Okay.
One session I would do just this. So I'm going to show you what it looks like where I'm marking the behavior. And then notice when I give her the food, I'm going to praise her as well. I'm going to pet her. And I'm going to make it a quick, fun little session. And then we're going to have you give a shot.
Okay.
Yes. Good girl. Very nice. That's a good girl. Free. Oh, come back this way. Excellent. That was fun, huh? Yes. Very good. Very good. Free. Good. That's a good girl. Good girl. Let's not jump up though. Yes. Very nice. Free. You see, she's already starting to understand it.
Right.
Now, it looks easy, but it's much harder than it looks.
Right.
So we're going to load you up with a couple treats.
Okay.
And I'm going to have you do the same thing.
Okay. Now, if she's like trying to jump up, do you say no or do you
I'm not worried about it right now.
Okay.
Because she's trying to jump up in order to get my attention and in order to get a reward.
Okay.
We can tell that's her intent. That's what she's trying to do. So I'm just not going to give her what she wants when she's jumping up.
Okay.
And then when she's doing what we want, yes, that's when I'm going to give her the attention and the praise and the rewards. Okay. But we can focus on that in a little bit after we establish the first few steps. Okay. But for now, we're just going to not reward it.
Okay. All right.
See how you're already moving?
Yes.
So that one you paired.
Oh. Okay.
You went,
sorry.
yes.
Yes, I did.
It's hard. It's very, very hard.
It is.
It takes practice.
Okay.
Everybody pairs.
Lulu.
I don't have nothing. See? All gone. Yeah, nothing.
Lulu,
It's over there.
Here. Lulu, come here. Yes.
So you paired again?
Oh, I did? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Lulu.
See, you're already moving. Say the word.
Okay. Yes.
Much better.
Still not.
It was better. It was definitely better. I like to make that very distinct pause. Yes. And then also the way you say the marker is going to be the marker.
Okay.
So that's why I try to make it short and crisp. Yes. Free. You don't want to, yes. You don't want to do a dragged out marker. And let's try to do the free. So you're going to say free and then move. Make sure there's a pause to it.
Lulu. Free.
So what helps too, if you want to say in your mind, if you want to go free, pause, movement.
Okay.
Free, pause, movement. I don't have any.
Lulu. Lulu. Come here, Lulu. Lulu, come here. Okay. Free.
That was much better. Timing's getting better.
Okay, Lulu. Free.
Excellent. And it's good to switch hands too, so your dog doesn't always focus on one hand. If you always reward with the right, your dog will start to just pay attention to your right hand.
Okay.
So I like to go back and forth between the hands. Yep.
Lulu. Free.
So that one you paired a little bit.
I realized I did that when I was actually doing
It's
it.
tough. And it's one of the reasons why I recommend for people to film themselves.
Okay.
Because you may do it and you're not even realizing that you're doing it, but then you review the footage and you go, oh, I paired that. I didn't do that correctly. And if you know you're making the mistakes, it makes it much easier to adjust and fix it the next time.
Okay. Lulu. Free.
You noticed it that time too.
I noticed it.
To do this step correctly, I'll usually spend maybe a day or two on engagement training. So in the morning, I would do all engagement training. In the evening, this is all I would do. The next day, I might do it one more time, maybe two more times. But by that point, if your timing is correct, your dog should be conditioned. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, well, where is the value, or what is rather the value of these markers? Well, when our dog does a behavior we're trying to capture, we have approximately 1 second in order to let the dog know that's a behavior we would like them to repeat. So if you want her to know that laying down, you tell her down, the moment she lays down, you have roughly, give or take a small amount, 1 second to let her know that's a behavior you would like her to repeat. Now, if we are not using markers, then we have to make sure she knows the reward is coming within a second. So if your dog gets used to seeing your hand moving towards her and your hand means food or your hand means petting, then the moment she sees your hand coming towards her, she goes, that's a reward. So she's able to make the connection. But that means she has to see us.
Right.
She's not always going to be looking at us. In addition, if she doesn't see us, then you actually have to give the food to her within a second of her doing the behavior. Now that sounds very difficult, right? Well, the marker, instead of having to give her the reward within a second, all you have to do is say your marker. So you tell her to sit.
Okay.
Once her butt hits the ground, you have 1 second to go, yes.
Okay.
And then you get to take your time and give her the treat. Now, after you mark a behavior, when she's conditioned, so let's say she's conditioned to the word yes. And you mark a behavior, meaning she goes into the position and you say yes. After you mark that behavior, how long do you have to give her the primary reinforcer, which is food, toy, or affection, before you've lost the connection?
30 seconds?
That's better than what most people say. Most people say, well, you have about a second, right? You have as long as your dog is paying attention. So now on the next step, this is a technique known as luring. It's very simple. Wherever the nose goes, the butt does the opposite. So nose goes up, butt goes down, and we can start guiding her into different positions. There's 2 things that I want you to focus on during this step. Number 1, getting her to follow the food. And number 2, once she gets into the position you're attempting to get her in by using the food lure, you're going to mark the behavior and give her the food. So let me demonstrate. I want you to pay attention to her butt hitting the ground. When her butt hits the ground, that's when I'm going to say yes, and then I'm going to give her a piece of food. Okay. Or alternatively, I can say free and give her the food as well. During this step, we're not saying any commands, and because of that, we're not doing any stays. So since we're not working on any stays, that means we can use either the yes or the free. It doesn't matter. It only matters when we start adding the verbal command and we start working on the stay.
Okay.
So during this step, you can use yes or free, whichever you feel better with. So watch when her butt hits the ground. Free. 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 So you see how I'm saying F-R-E when her butt hits the ground. Same thing with the down. Watch her elbows. When her elbows hit the ground. Free. Good. Come on, baby. Now I'm watching that butt to go down. Free. Very good. Now if I want her to spin in a circle, when she completes it, free. So you see I'm marking the behavior once she completes it. Now if you notice that she's struggling with a behavior, then you can reward her for putting in effort so she doesn't give up. But she's pretty food motivated, so this is going to be easy. Again, for the down, I'm looking at the elbows. Now if her back end's up, I'm waiting for the back end. So right here, I'm at free. I gave her a piece, but I'm going to give her another one because I gave her the piece before I said the marker. So let's do one more. Free. Very nice. Good girl. And I can even guide her into heel position, which is on your left side or right. And this is what I like to call power steering, when you start to teach the dog how to properly move to follow the food lure. Good girl.
Free. Oh, that's needed.
So lift up.
Oh, it took it.
It's pretty hard, right?
Wow, this is
But once you get it, it becomes easy. I mean, it's like everything. Mm-hmm. Everything is difficult before it becomes easy.
Okay.
And then lift.
Free.
There you go, much better.
Good job.
And then let's do another one. So walk backwards and then lift.
Okay.
Lift. Free.
Free. Good girl.
Nice. So now we're going to have you try doing the down. So for the down, she's probably going to be sitting when she's right in front of you.
Right.
Common mistake people do is they'll point or they hold the food like this, so then the dog won't lay down.
Okay.
Because she can just grab the food, so she's not going to lay down. Another thing people do is they'll go downward on an angle, and then the dog's crawling forward.
Okay.
So what you want to do is you want to go straight down. So I see where her nose is, and I'm going to go straight to the floor beneath her. Free. So that way she goes straight down. In addition, I'm curving my hand. So what that does is she has to go underneath the palm of my hand in order to get to the treat, which naturally brings her back end down. So that's why I hold it like this. So watch as my palm is going to be facing her, but then I'm going to turn it to where my palm's facing the ground, kind of. So there it is, and then I turn. So you see how that gets her to lay down? And then once she's in the down position, come on, baby. That's when you're going to, yes, and reward. Or you can do free and reward. So again, you're going to bring her up. You're going to go straight down. Free. Very nice. She's starting to do it fast. So with a dog like her, I like to speed her up by doing this. Free. So she matches the intensity. All right, we're going to have you give it another shot.
All right.
I don't have any more. I don't have any more. Go ahead.
Okay.
Straight down. Turn your palm so it's facing the ground.
She steals it from me.
And sometimes it helps if they're sitting beforehand. You don't need them to sit before you do it, but it does help in the beginning. Free.
Free.
Beautiful. That one was very nice. And you can guide her back up just by showing her the food. Exactly. And then bring her right back into the down. Straight down. See how you're starting to move back?
Okay.
So you want to go straight down. Free.
Free.
And then reward. Very nice. Very good handling. So now we're going to incorporate 2 other commands. Now, would you like to have a command where you tell her to go in her little room and she runs into her room?
Yeah.
That'd be cool, right?
Do that.
So we're going to do that as well.
Okay.
So the 2 I'm going to focus on right now is just getting her to go on the bed and getting her to go inside of her little room.
Okay.
And we're not worried about commands, so I'm going to come over here. So we're going to teach her to go inside of her room, and we're going to teach her to climb.
Okay.
All right, so the very first one we're going to do is the bed. So with this, it's very simple. It's just getting her to walk forward. Once her paws are on the bed, that's when you give her the reward, mark and reward. And you can teach her off as well by luring her off the bed, very easy. And then we're going to teach her by luring her into her room. Free. And we can even lure her back out of her room. Free. Lure her back in. Free. And lure her out. Free. Very nice. All right, we're going to have you do it.
Okay.
It's very easy, right?
Okay. Everything seems easy when you're doing it.
So you can lure her on the bed for one, lure her off the bed, lure her into her little playroom, and lure her out of her playroom.
All right. Okay. Free.
Once she gets on the bed, all 4 paws.
Oh, all 4. Okay.
It's okay if you reward with just 2 paws in the beginning. We can build up to 4. Free.
Free.
With dogs, success builds on success. So the more successful your dog is, the more confident they become and the more willing they are to work in order to gain access to the reward, even if it becomes increasingly more challenging for them. Okay. So we always want to make them successful. So even if the 2 paws got on in the beginning, you mark that, that's fine because it's building her success. Get all 4 paws on there if you need to. There we go. Yes.
Free.
Or free, either one's fine. Okay. And now guide her into her room.
Okay. Oh. Oh, sorry, I went
Free.
this way. Free.
And then guide her back out. Free.
Free.
Excellent. So that one's very easy, right? You can just guide her wherever you want with the food lure.
Yeah.
Now, do you want her to know how to go into the heel position? Are you going to be doing a lot of loose leash walking with her?
Right now we're just doing the actual leash walking because she's like,
so you want to get
so
her
excited to when she sees strangers and other dogs that she like lunges at
One
them.
of your goals, though, is to be able to have her walk nicely
eventually.
in the heel position. So what we need to do is we need to teach her the heel position.
Okay.
So that's something I was doing earlier, but I'm
Right.
going to have you do it as well. So I'm going to break down each step that I'm doing. So I'm using the lure that we were doing before, but when I'm getting her into heel position, and I like the heel position to be the left side, you can do the right side if you prefer, just be consistent with it so she knows where she's supposed to go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to step back with my left leg, I'm going to make a very big wide circle, and then I'm going to bring her back into the heel position, which she almost did because we were doing it earlier. And I like the dog to be straight next to me. That's what I was working on earlier, where I was getting her butt to shift over to the side. All right, so I'm going to guide her. Watch me step back, nice big circle, and then right back into heel. And then I want her to put her butt down. Yes, reward. And then I also like to get them to lay down here as well, but that's not necessary for this step. Yes, very good. Bring her back up. And from here, it's nice to even teach her how to come into the sit front position, so I can have her go back and forth. So I can step forward now, swing her around, and now she's sitting in front of me. So that would be come when called. Right. And this would be heel. Nice and wide at first. And get her over into the right position. Yes. Very good. Guide her into the down. Yes. Good. Very good.
Oh my
You want to give it a shot?
Lulu. All right.
You're so good. You're such a good puppy.
Okay, you got to do this with me too, Lulu.
I don't have any more. Over there. Go ahead. So you want her to swing inward, not outward.
Inward, okay.
Yeah.
So let's try this again.
There you go, man.
Come here, Lulu.
And see how you're not, by not stepping back with the left leg, you're more restricted. You're trying to, stepping back opens it. And let me show you what I'm doing with my hand too. So I have it cupped like we had it before. So see the positioning?
Right.
And then as I come out, once it's about right here, I flip it really quick. So now it's in the position that's going to make it easier. So I'm always turning that hand and flipping it into position. So it makes it very easy for her to get into the position I want. Come on, baby. So step back and around. She gets very excited. You get excited. Let's swing you over this way. Calm you down a little bit. There you go. There you go. Good, baby. All right, go ahead.
Good job. Okay. Ready, Lulu? Okay. Come around this way.
So palm facing towards her at first. Yep.
Okay.
Step back. Now turn it. There you go.
There. Oh.
You're getting there.
You're getting there.
And getting her to sit in the beginning is very difficult. So let me show you another exercise. That might be a little bit too hard in the beginning. So what you're gonna do this time is you're just gonna walk backwards, swing her around, and then walk forward. Once she's in position, give her the food and walk backwards.
Okay.
Swing her around. Once she's in position, give her the treat and walk backwards. And all I'm doing is I'm showing her how to find this position. I'm gonna do a couple more times so you can see.
Okay.
There we go. And I'm just giving her the food when she's walking next to me. That was a big piece, huh? Go ahead and chomp it up. Yum, yum. There we go, and very nice.
All right. I think I need more training than she does.
Of course. Yeah, the dogs usually get it pretty fast. It's us humans that need more practice.
Yes. Okay.
There we go. And then reward. Excellent. That was very nice. And then give it another go. And if you need to, you can walk backwards more too. Then there you go. Give her the food. Excellent.
Good.
Very good. Yeah, this is definitely easier for you. Swing her back, walk forward, and then, yeah, so I'll keep walking forward if I need to get the dog straight. So don't be afraid to continue walking forward in order to get her walking next to you.
Okay.
But that's looking much better.
Ooh.
Yeah, chew your food, baby.
Okay. Ready, Lulu? Okay. Wait. All right. Let's try you sitting. Okay. Come here. Okay. Oh, no. Come here, Lulu. Okay. Come here.
There you go.
Sit. Oh, she didn't sit.
That's pretty good. We don't need to worry about commands just
Okay.
yet. All right, so does that step make sense?
Yes, it
You
does.
want to get to a point where it feels like a dance almost.
Right.
She knows what you want her to do the moment you start to present that physical cue. Okay. For example, when I start to bend down like this, it's kind of what I do for my come when called. Okay. It's like a bow. I bow to the dog, and then I lift up. And then they sit. So that's how I start teaching the come when called. So the moment I do this, the dog goes, oh, I know what you're doing. Okay. Same thing, the moment I go like this, the dog goes, oh, I know you're doing the heel position. The moment I do this, the dog goes, oh, center command. They start to pick it up very quickly and it feels like a dance. The dog is anticipating, or Lulu is anticipating what you want based on the physical cues that you've been showing her. And then it starts to feel very natural. Once you get to that point, that's when I start adding commands. Okay. But for the next step that we're going to do, I'm going to grab a leash. This is how we're going to start teaching her the stay command. This is how you start teaching loose leash walking. This is how we start developing reliability and everything that we want. When we are teaching our dog leash pressure, this is known as negative reinforcement. Negative reinforcement, what do you think negative reinforcement is?
Well, you're training her the opposite of what you want her to do.
Nope.
No?
No. So easy way to remember it, people mix this up all the time. So negative means removing something from the equation.
Okay.
Positive means adding.
Okay.
Reinforcement means the encouragement of a behavior to be repeated, whereas punishment means preventing a behavior from being repeated. Okay. So negative, we're removing something, but we're encouraging the repeat of a behavior. So this is leash pressure. So what we do, every dog has a classical opposition reflex. Humans have it as well. Somebody pushes into you, what do? You lean into them so you don't fall.
Yeah.
If you just kind of stood there, you'd get tipped over. So it's that classical opposition reflex. We see it with dogs all the time when we put a leash on them. We put a leash on and what do? They pull in the opposite direction of where you're pulling. Right. Or they pull in the direction they want to go.
Yeah.
So instead of having the dog resist the pressure, what we do is we teach them to go with it. So you can guide her in any position you want with the leash. So if I start to walk with the leash in front of her, she knows to follow it. If I lift up, she knows to sit. If I go to pull down on the leash, she lays down very quickly. And this is very easy to teach when we provide our dog with the answer. Okay. And what I mean by that is leash pressure is a problem. When we turn the pressure on, we are presenting a problem to our dog. We're saying the only way this pressure is turned off is when you do what I want you to do. But often they don't know what we want, so then they start to cycle through different possible options to turn off the pressure. Right. Some dogs might bite at the leash, some dogs might flop on the ground, will this work? Some dogs might try to do a spin, and they're cycling through different options saying, is this what I need to do to get that pressure to turn off? So instead of having the dog figure it out, we're just going to give her the answer. Okay. And the way that we do that is we turn the pressure on first, then I show her what I want her to do with the food lure. Okay. So you're going to see it's very easy, but it's very difficult at the same time.
You've been saying everything's very easy, right? For me,
it's difficult for everybody at first.
Okay.
I mean, I was so bad when I first started training. It was ridiculous. It took me so long to stop pairing. It took me so long to get the leash stuff down. But once you get it down, then it becomes pretty easy. So when we're doing this, we want to make sure the leash pressure comes first. And I'm going to show you how much pressure I'm applying. It's a very small amount. Okay. Also, you notice how she's focused on this hand?
Right.
So I'm going to take it out of the equation. Oops, let's not drop a piece. So I'm putting it behind my back. So now all I have is the leash. And she's already sitting, so there we go. If she sits, I turn the pressure off. Two things you have to pay attention to with leash pressure. Once it's turned on, you don't turn it off until they comply. And number two, the moment they comply, we turn the pressure off. So I'm going to use the food to show her what I want. So I'm pulling down. I want her to lay down. So now I use the food. I turn the pressure off, I give her the reward.
Okay.
And we're just using this as a way to teach her the pressure because we want her to know to follow it. So watch, every time I turn it on, it's very light, but then I give her the answer by luring her into the position. The pressure has to come first. So here's the pressure. Here's the cue. Turn off the pressure, give her the reward.
Okay.
Here's the pressure. Here's the answer to the problem. We turn off the pressure, we give them a reward. So you see, this is stress-free. When we do it right, there's no stress associated with the training. I want her to come closer to me, so here's the pressure. Oh, she did it, very good. Now I'm gonna pull pressure down. Good girl, now I'm gonna give her the answer. Release the pressure, reward. Very good. You're a good baby, yes you are. See?
Okay.
All right, so lift up on the pressure, now lure with the, now turn it off.
Oh. Good girl. Okay.
So start to lift up. Keep your, there you go. Now lure her with the food. Now turn it off, turn it off. There you go, and then give her the food. You're doing pretty good at this. People always have a hard time with the leash pressure. It's very difficult for most people. So now that you applied the pressure, what do you want her to do? You want her to move this way?
Oh,
So when you
I
start,
wanted to, I was trying to get her to move.
Yeah, so if you start that pressure and you want her to move, wait till she
Okay.
moves, then turn it off.
Okay.
So once you turn that pressure, you're committed.
Okay.
Then once she sits, turn it off.
Lulu. Good job. All right, let's try to get you to sit. Okay.
Let's do the down since she's already sitting. So keep your food hand behind your back because right there you just
that's
lured
right.
her.
I just lured her.
Yeah, you
okay.
didn't do the leash
I
pressure.
didn't do the.
It's tough, right?
I was doing, but yes, I was trying to. I realized that. Okay.
So
I was doing,
grab a
trying to
piece
do
of food.
both.
You got a couple more behind you.
Okay.
Have the food hand behind your back, and then
Okay.
get her closer to you right there. So now, whichever one you want her to do, apply the pressure for that, and then now she's doing it. So turn it off. Turn off the pressure.
And then-
Okay, good. So now apply pressure downward. So you're gonna have to
So I have
grab
to do
closer to
this?
here.
Oh, okay.
So light pressure down, very light. Now lure, and turn off the pressure and reward.
Okay.
Yeah, the moment she lays down, boom, we have to turn it off.
Okay.
Turn it off and reward. Now, once I've done a few of these, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give her a moment to see if she can figure it out without me providing the answer for her. So I'm going to do the same thing we just did, but now I'm going to wait to see if she can do it. So she sat, so that was very easy. So now I'm going to pull down on the leash. And I'm going to see if she can figure it out. So she's having a hard time, so I'm going to lure her. Turn off the pressure and reward. Very good. So she's good with the sit. Free. So that one she did without the food. Now I can guide her towards me. Good. Lift up. Very nice. Pressure downwards. Free. Very good, sweetie. That's what I like to see. You're a smart girl. And then now I'm going to slowly start to lift up. And so she's starting to come around to that side, so I'm going to switch hands. Yeah, this one doesn't have the treats anymore. Apply pressure downwards. Free. Very good, right there. You're a pleasure to work with. Lift up. Very nice. Okay, so in order to do this, I'm gonna say room, and then I'm going to use the lure to get her into the room.
Okay.
Once we start adding the commands, I like to teach what's known as the implied stay. Meaning if I tell a dog down and they lay down, they're in a down stay. You don't have to say stay.
Okay.
You can if you want. Some people like saying stay. It's not going to have a negative impact on the training. It's just not necessary.
Okay.
Because of that, when I start introducing commands, I exclusively, for the most part, use the terminal marker free. Because I don't want to worry about the stay yet because we're not working on the stay.
Right.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell her room. I'm going to show her how to go in her room. Once she's in there, I'm going to say free, and then I'm going to reward her. And then I'm going to do off as well. Room. Free. Good. If we end when she's bored, when she's like, I'm over this, she's not going to want to train later. Okay. You want to end the session when she's going, is that it? That's all? I want more. And you're like, oh, wait till the next session. Makes sense?
Yes.
All right. Do you have any final questions? Did you want to try a couple more?
Okay.
I mean, she is getting a little tired. Look at her chilling out on the bed.
Like,
That's great. Can you get a shot of the way she's laying on the bed? It's adorable.
She's like, I'm done. This was a lot. Okay.
So it could be a good time to stop. That was a great session. We worked on engagement training. We did some luring. We introduced her to leash pressure, which she picked up very fast. And we started to work on the commands. So what I want you to do is do some more of those engagement training sessions where that's all you're focusing on, then really focusing on getting her to understand your lure. As I said before, make it feel like a dance. She should really know what you want her to do the moment you start to present that physical cue to get her to do the behavior. Then when you feel really confident about that, do some more of the leash pressure work and go back to adding the commands. And then next week, or maybe the week after that, we'll start introducing the stay and possibly loose leash walking as well. Any final questions?
No, I will give it a try. We'll have 2 weeks to try.
All right, sounds good. And I think she's going to do great. She's a great student. All right, excellent.
Thank you so much.